And the patriarchy wants you to believe that these things aren't valuable or should be devalued in order to get a discount. Hello, angels, baddies, and bitches. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Amber Killer. We're in the business of being hot and having fun, cute, chaotic, and critical thinking. Follow me on all the things: Instagram, Spotify, SoundCloud for music, TikTok for more yapping. Subscribe to the podcast, Friend Crush with Amber Killer. Subscribe to the Patreon at Amber Killer for exclusive episodes and to be part of the group chat. I hope everyone's doing well. Today's video is going to be about the pick-me seed, internalized misogyny, patriarchal conditioning, decentering men, and being hot and having fun, obviously. So let's get into it. There's a lot of different things I want to try and cover in this video, and I might not be able to do it, but let's give it a go. So we live in a patriarchal capitalist world. Varying countries will enforce this to varying degrees. Varying societies and groups are at different, on a different place on the spectrum of progress, okay? And each person is going to have their own sort of like internal battle. But for the purposes of this video, let's say that patriarchal values involve reinforcement of male privilege, devaluation of women's labor, commodification of gender differences, exploitation of the private sphere, systemic inequality. Whether you are aware of it or not, you have been conditioned with these values and you've internalized them to varying degrees, and it will influence your decision making and your life and the way you see yourself and the way you see the world, directly, indirectly. And I would say that internalized misogyny actually exists within everyone, and I include myself in this category, because you actually don't know what life could be like without women being oppressed. It is like historical, it is generational, and everything that we consume today has been tainted by misogyny. So I don't believe in being like a perfect feminist. I believe in doing your best to decolonize the mind. Everybody's on a different journey. Everyone's at a different stage of this journey. So I try to withhold judgment for other people that are at a different stage to me. I hold space for myself, and I try to be vigilant about, pulling apart the parts of me that are still influenced directly or indirectly by this conditioning. Misogyny, patriarchy, capitalism is literally in the air that we breathe, okay? So it's about developing an awareness of how it might be affecting you and the people around you, and how you can better navigate this and make more intentional decisions. I feel like it's very difficult to give people actionable steps in how to deconstruct the patriarchy on a societal level. I think we have to start from within, and we can provide analyses for how it affects the bigger picture. I'm gonna just focus on your internal person to person manifestation of these things. So in everybody's consciousness, in your mind, there is a pick-me seed. I don't know if this is, nature or nurture. I think it's a combination of both. I think that patriarchy and capitalism preys on the natural human desire for connection. And basically from birth, you have this seed implanted in your mind, connected to the part of your brain that's looking for social connection. And each person, this is going to manifest differently, okay? But essentially, it's a combination of misogyny, capitalism, patriarchy, romantic industrial complex. So the idea that romantic love has the most value being the most valuable form of love that you can receive or that you can give, that is fake news, in my opinion, okay? PSYOP. It can be valuable, but I don't think it's more valuable than the love you have for yourself, the love you have for your friends, your family, and your community. And it's not about the hierarchy, it's about, a healthy distribution of love. in your life and the lives of others. So the pick me seed, I would argue, it's sort of like deeply ingrained in your subconscious. Unless you sort of intentionally bring awareness to it, it will affect your decision making in all areas of your life, whether you are aware of it or not. And you can also connect this to sort of like childhood trauma, because your childhood trauma is going to affect the way that you form relationships in adult life. And media messaging, societal messaging, messaging you receive from your education, etc., etc. And this is being watered by different things, okay? So, like I just said, media, family, friends, partners, trauma are things that can water the pygmy seed in order to make you an agent for patriarchal values and misogyny, okay? So if you don't bring awareness to it, this will literally like grow weeds basically on your mind, and it will affect your relationship with yourself, your work, your family, your friendships, and your romantic relationships. And I think that like it can take time to develop awareness of this. Like women that, went through pick me phases and then started to decenter men, they experience like a very sharp contrast between these two states of mind. And because they started to develop an awareness of the weeds, and they learned to decenter men, decenter the patriarchy. So when you do that, you become aware of these weeds and you learn to trim them. The way to trim them is to develop a healthy relationship with these things: self, work, family, friendships, romantic relationships, hobbies, etc. When you focus on being hot and having fun. Patriarchy reinforces the idea of a zero-sum game and also scarcity mindset, which are fertilizer and watering this pick-me seed, because it will get you to make decisions based on a scarcity mindset, and it will limit and shrink your ability to healthily engage with these areas of your life. It will make you ugly and have a bad time. So decentering men is not necessarily getting rid of this seed, because it is like intrinsically connected to your desire for social connection. And I think rather than thinking about how we eliminate things, we think about how to manage our relationship with them, because this pick-me seed can be activated and triggered in all these different ways, in all these different contexts, and it can take time for you to realize how it's affecting you, and usually the sorts of like emotions that would be associated with the activation of the pick-me seed is anxiety, longing, loneliness, desperation, stress, anger, self-pity, etc. It's not that you will never experience these emotions for the rest of your life once you decenter men. It's just that they will be easier to manage because you are able to develop a diffuse awareness of the boundaries of your mind, okay? So that's why I always talk about meditation and journaling, because your mind has, vast ability to draw and connect ideas and thoughts between yourself and the world and your relationships. And when you try to repress something, you actually sort of give it fuel to persist without your awareness, So it's not about, okay, I'm not a pick-me anymore and I'm not going to think about men. It's, okay, how can I be more intentional and aware of the way that I engage with men, the way that I engage with all of these parts of myself and the life that I'm trying to create. So when it comes to decentering men, I think that there are sort of like stages to it. The first, and I talk about this in a really old video of mine, which is like the 4 A's of realizing things. So the first A is you develop awareness. Then maybe you are like angry, emotional response. then you are radically accepting. Okay, because I've talked about before, reality is essentially neutral and we are all projecting our own interpretation of reality onto the things that happen. Everybody is going to be slightly different. Your ability to love and be loved comes from how you communicate your reality and share your reality with others. So accepting what is allows you to then have an awareness about where your intention goes in the next stage, which is action. So being able to apply this to the pick me seed that exists deep inside your mind. And for me, like, I noticed that mine is activated a lot in my friendships because I'm not someone that prioritizes romantic relationships, but in my friendships with people, I will like really invest in other people's problems or really try to, help people through their struggles and like pull people out of the depression that they've experienced that I'm familiar with that I want them to avoid. But in the end, it's a pick me seed. Okay, it's this idea that my value only comes from being able to like help or save other people, and each person's pick me seed is going to be slightly different. And some of them, it might be like, rather than you become active in trying to prove your value, you become passive or complacent in your value being determined by the messaging that you've received by other people. So a lot of people will be like, well, I can't do this because of XYZ. That's like your pick me seed. It's entrenching you in a victim mindset into like, I'm not able to make any change in my life because all of these other things have affected it. And that might be true, but at the same time, like, your habits and your decisions every day, as well as your external circumstances, together determine your personality and your experience of the world. So even if you can just make small decisions that are different to how you've habitually been living, that is going to have a huge impact on like the trajectory of your outcomes. Okay, so I've mentioned before, like, your ego will try to reinforce itself in a loop. But when you start to make even just one small change, okay, now you're able to turn it into a spiral. The potential for change is infinite once you allow yourself to open your ego just a little, okay? Open the framework, the borders of your mind, even just a little bit. So it's not about, okay, I'm going to completely overhaul my relationship with myself and with men and with romance, etc. overnight, and suddenly I'm going to be a baddie. Being a baddie takes time and effort and consistency. You never really get there because you're never going to be short of dealing with bullshit, okay? The deadline is death. So it's not the absence of bad things that happen to you. It's your ability to integrate them, learn from them, grow from them. That's what makes you a baddie. That's what makes you able to decenter this pick-me seed, to manage the weeds that grow in your mind. And I think a really big part of the weeds thing for women is the emphasis on physical appearance and your value only being related to either the way that you look or the invisible labor that you might contribute to your relationships, your work, etc. So how are you able to decenter men and decenter the pick-me seed? Counterintuitive is actually like leaning into it. So what are the things that you think that women are valued for in society? And do you or do you not have any of these skills? Okay, so beauty, domestic labor, desirability. Are just some examples, maybe like emotional labor. It's not that you have to have these things, but at some point, society realized that this is part of the value that women can contribute, okay? Women are better at these things than men. And the patriarchy wants you to believe that these things aren't valuable or should be devalued in order to get a discount on it, okay? It's not because you can't do these things or that you are only these things. It's that you probably can do all these things, but we want you to do it for free. But you could actually get paid for all these things if you want under capitalism. And I'm not saying that you should aim for that, but I'm saying that when you lean into developing these skills for yourself and you were intentional about it, you start to understand the value because you understand how difficult it actually is to maintain a state of harmony with your physical self and your spiritual self. which is what I define beauty as, okay? Harmony between spiritual and physical. Because when you feel good, you look good. People can look good according to objective societal standards, but they can drain the energy out of a room with their insecurity and their victim mindset and the anxiety they feel around their desirability, okay? They're not actually confident, they're just doing things that will get them approval and then hoping that after that they can feel good. When real beauty, in my opinion, is your ability to generate feeling good for yourself, contributing that to the spaces that you enter, and that naturally affects the physical presence that you have, you know? But, you know, patriarchy and capitalism wants to reduce it to just aesthetics, and I personally disagree with that. So, beauty, domestic labor. When I was younger, I was very good at cooking, cleaning, sewing, knitting, like all of these like domestic labor things I know how to do because I had to do them for myself when I was younger. And now that I'm older, I can appreciate how much effort that is, how little I enjoy all those things. So I'm not just going to do that randomly for people just because I can, you know? And that's how society wants you to think about your relationship with these things, that you should just give it up because that's all you have to offer. You should give it up when it is a mutually beneficial situation, when it's an exchange. You're not giving it up, you're contributing and you're sharing and you're exchanging and you're transacting and you're giving and receiving. And I'm not saying that you do these things for men. I'm saying that you do them for yourself so that you learn the true value and you practice gratitude and appreciation for your ability to do them for yourself. And then you're discerning about who you share that with. Because all of these skills will actually benefit you regardless of whether you monetize them or not. So why not develop the skills so that you can be discerning about who you do and don't share it with. Your desirability as a woman, getting in tune with your sensuality and your sexuality. So for me, desirability is not something that has to require a male witness. If you've listened to my podcast, you will know that I've spoken about the importance of a non-negotiable hobby and the way that dance and music is such an important part of the human experience and our ability to connect with self and in community, okay? Like I've been a DJ for a very long time. I understand the impact of music on a space and on myself. And I have been pole dancing for the last 5 years. I did not identify as an athletic person when I was younger. And if I was to tell my younger self, now that you're older, you spend most of your time and energy thinking about when you're going to go to dance class. I would be like, what the hell are you talking about, girl? But women, especially when you dance, you don't have to be good at dancing. You just have to move your body. That's a space where you can connect with your body and your sensuality and your sexuality without a male witness. You're doing it because you enjoy it. You're doing it because you embody femininity. You embody the force of life and the ability to create life, even if you biologically aren't able to do that as a woman. I just feel like, femininity and sensuality and sexuality runs through you, okay? It might be dormant because your pick-me seed has been activated in a way that makes you feel shame towards your desirability or your sexuality, but being able to dance and connect with your body is so important. You're integrating the physical and the spiritual. So for me, when I go to pole dance, I go with the intention of moving my body, with having a good time. And it's always a class full of girls. We're developing our strength, our flexibility, we're dancing to music, and we're there to support each other and to learn. Obviously, you could go into it with the intention of trying to appeal to the male gaze, and then the results and how you feel will be different. But being able to be intentional about the way that you connect with your body and your sexuality, the way that you decorate yourself, with the way that you dress, the way that you do your makeup, the way that you look after yourself, I think these are all really important skills to have in general, and developing them in a way that allows you to connect to yourself is a radical practice. You're going to be doing these things whether there's patriarchy or not. It's just that you are now doing them in a way that interrogates the idea that it's only for men, okay? Or that it has to be given to men and society at a discount. You're reclaiming your ability to do these things. And then the last thing is emotional labor. So a lot of women really great at dealing with other people's problems, talking people through their issues in a way that's ultimately detrimental to them. You are now drained of the energy that you would need to be able to look after yourself and be there for yourself emotionally. Help me, okay? This is what I struggle with the most. And being able to sit with your own feelings, develop an awareness of them, communicate with yourself about them, hold space, self-compassion, empathy, being able to regenerate and to rest and to give yourself the empathy that you give others, I think is really important in being able to empower yourself and allow you to show up in an integrated and hot and having fun way. You know what I mean? So the pick me seed can be deep in your subconscious, and it'll probably be there for your whole life, and different things will water it and trigger it at different stages of your life. You might have periods where you're like, I'm hot and having fun, men are decentered, blah, blah, blah. You encounter a situation or a person, and suddenly you develop anxiety around it. It triggers some kind of like dormant trauma or insecurity that you have. But rather than trying to repress it, giving it space, and then rather than letting external things water it, you are actively like trimming at the weeds. And the way that you do it is practices that allow you to connect to yourself again, okay? You don't have to isolate yourself from the world, but you do need to practice spending time alone, giving yourself the space to have an awareness of how you're feeling and what you're thinking, and be intentional about the decisions that you make in service of being hot and having fun. You know what I mean? This video was a bit all over the place, but my point is that decentering men is not about hating men. It's not about ignoring men. Men will probably still be part of your life, okay? Even for me, someone who doesn't spend that much time outside, everywhere I go, there's a man. I open my phone, men are about. So I don't hate men. I'm just generally like kind of indifferent to them. And whenever I'm engaging with them, I think about how we are exchanging time, energy, effort in order to create mutually beneficial relationships, okay? And, you know, you have to be discerning, and you have to understand that things are changing all the time. Sometimes something is beneficial for a period of time and then it becomes detrimental, and you need to be brave and confront that within yourself and learn to walk away from situations that demand you contribute to your own detriment. You know what I mean? It's an ongoing process. We're all in this together. I hope this video was helpful in some way. And let me know your thoughts and feelings on your own experience. Follow me on all the things. Stay hot and having fun. I love you lots. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Mwah.